Most managers I've worked with don't have a leadership problem, they have a communication problem they've mistaken for a people problem. Their team isn't underperforming, their team is underinformed, underheard, or undertrusted. And those three things look identical from the outside. Stephen Covey said it plainly in The 7 Habits. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. And I'm sure you've experienced that as well. That one line describes the majority of management communication happening in organizations right now, and it costs more than most leaders ever measure. Hi, I'm Janaya Narvaez, business professional, counselor, and personal trainer. My business degree gave me the frameworks for organizational communication. My clinical training gave me something most leadership coaches don't have. 15 years of sitting in rooms where communication was the difference between someone getting better or staying stuck. I learned early that the content of what you say matters far less than whether the person in front of you feels genuinely heard. That's the skill that makes you not just a manager, but a leader people actually follow. I worked with a director who was smart, strategic, genuinely cared about his team. He sent thorough emails. He held weekly check-ins. He communicated constantly. And then 2 of his best people resigned in the same month. When he finally asked why, both said a version of the same thing. I never felt like you really heard me. I felt like I was receiving information, not having a conversation. This director hadn't been neglectful. He'd been transmitting. And transmission without genuine listening, without reading the room, without clarity about when to say what and how is not communication at all. It's noise with good intentions. The Harvard Business Review researchers Roger and Dorison found exactly this pattern in 2025. Misaligned communication habits, unclear norms, wrong channels, unmatched expectations about response times lead directly to missed deadlines, frustrated teams, and reduced productivity. The problem isn't effort. It's design. Now, here are the 3 traps I see managers fall into most consistently, and every one of them feels like communicating while it's happening. Trap 1, one-way transmission. This is the director's trap. You send updates, you hold meetings, you write emails, but the flow is almost entirely one direction. Covey called the alternative habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. And it's listed as habit 5 for a reason. Most managers skip straight to being understood and wonder why their team doesn't feel connected. Communication without genuine listening isn't leadership, it's broadcasting. Trap 2, the authenticity trap. Nick Morgan's research at HBR shows that when your spoken message and your body language don't match, your audience will respond to the body language every time. Brain research confirms that natural gestures emerge a fraction of a second before words. So when you rehearse what to say without connecting to what you actually feel about it, listeners unconsciously sense the mismatch. They can't name it, but they feel it. Your team stops trusting what you say, not because you're lying, but because something's off. Something's disconnected and they can't put their finger on it. Trap 3, channel chaos. Rogers and Dorison at HBR identified this in 2025 as one of the most underestimated communication failures in modern organizations. Slack, email, text, Teams, a hallway conversation when there are no shared norms about which channel is used for what, as every message is now a puzzle your team has to solve before they can even receive it. You meant the Slack message as informal and low priority. Your team read it at 11 p.m. and thought it was urgent. That's not a technology problem. That's a leadership norm problem. Now, here's what it actually looks like to communicate like an intelligent leader, drawing from Covey, from Morgan, and from the latest HBR research. Seek to understand before you speak. Covey's habit 5 in practice. Before your next one-on-one or team conversation, commit to listening fully before you respond. Not listening while preparing your reply, listening to understand their actual frame. Ask one follow-up question before you offer your own perspective. This single shift is the difference between a manager your team tolerates and a leader your team trusts. 2, communicate from intent, not just content. Morgan's research shows that authentic speakers don't rehearse gestures, they rehearse intent. Before any significant conversation or presentation, ask yourself 4 questions. Am I open to this person? Am I genuinely trying to connect? Am I bringing real energy to this? And am I actually paying attention to how they're responding? Those 4 intents, openness, connection, passion, listening, change your body language automatically. Your team stops feeling like they're being managed They start feeling like they're being led. 3. Set clear communication norms with your team. Rogers and Dorison's research is direct. Leaders must set explicit shared norms about how their teams communicate. Have the conversation. Which channel is for urgent items? What's the expected response window for email versus Slack? What belongs in a meeting versus a message? When these norms are explicit, your team stops wasting cognitive energy guessing and starts using that energy on actual work. As a counselor, I can tell you that ambiguity is one of the fastest ways to erode psychological safety on a team. Clear norms aren't bureaucracy, they're care. Covey's habit 4, think win-win. Think win-win is not about compromise. It's about entering every high-stakes conversation genuinely committed to an outcome that works for both people. In clinical practice, we call this the therapeutic alliance, the research-backed foundation of every meaningful change conversation. When your team members know you're not just trying to win the point, the defensive walls come down, information flows, problems actually get solved. You become the kind of manager people bring their real problems to, which means you get to fix them before they become crises. 5. Sharpen your message before you send it. Rogers and Dorison's research and Covey's principle of beginning with the end in mind, habit 2, both converge on this. Every communication should start with the question, what does this person actually need to know? And what do I want them to do with it? Most manager communication is too long, too vague, or too channel inappropriate for its content. Sharper messages are not colder messages. They're more respectful of your team's time and cognitive load. And respect, communicated consistently, builds the kind of trust that makes teams genuinely high performing. Now remember, the most intelligent thing a manager can do isn't having the best strategy or the best instincts. It's create the conditions where the people around them can actually think, speak, and contribute at their full level and full potential. And every one of those conditions is built through communication. Not communication that sounds good, communication that lands, that is heard, that makes the person across from you feel like they actually matter to you, because they do. That's not soft, that's the hardest, highest leverage skill in leadership, and it's trainable. If you want to work through your specific communication patterns as a leader, what's working, what's costing you, and what to do differently, book a consultation through the link below. And tell me in the comments, which one of these 5 feel most like the one your team needs from you right now? If you want a practical guide to become an intelligent communicator, click the link below to get your communication action plan for this week. Let's continue this journey together, and I'll see you in the next video.